Hello. Weddings are now, and always have been, the mainstay really of most decorators' portfolio. They're the one that we do the most of, and we are constantly searching for something a little bit innovative, a little bit different to offer to our clients. So I thought I would put together something that can be either helium or air-filled, which is not an arch, it's not a column, it's not a bouquet, but it's a sort of combination of several of these things. It's a floating cluster, perhaps, is the best description. And I'm going to use a range of different products, different Sempertex products in this one, mostly featured around the 24-inch Mr and Mrs balloon, which we'll see most often used probably just singly with a tassel or tail or ivy garland underneath. But it's also really good for combining with other balloons to get a bigger effect. So we'll be using those. We're going to be using the graffiti print. This is the white one, which is referred to as Graffiti Frost. And for this design, I've double stuffed it with Reflex Gold. We're using standard white and then Reflex Gold in 5-inch and 2/60s. And also the 14-inch Reflex Heart, again in gold this time, just to add a nice shape and obviously fit in with the love theme of the whole wedding idea. So I've broken it down into groups to make it easier to put together. We start off with the 24-inch balloon here, which obviously this is the Mr one, we do a Mrs as well, and a 24-inch Reflex Gold. These are helium inflated, and I've just tied them together into a duplicate and attached them to a ribbon to give us a starting point. Everything else will be air filled, so the only helium required for this design is in here. The lift is quite considerable. If you want to make sure that what you've got in your head, that what you want to add to this is going to be supported, then what I did was to collect it all together flat, put it all in a small polythene bag and attach it to the ribbon, and if it was capable of lifting it, then it's going to be capable of lifting it once it's inflated. So at least you'll have the confidence that whatever you're using to build your design can be supported by those. I actually inflated these yesterday and high floated them so that the whole design will fly for quite some time. Having got those ready, what we've now done is to create a 4 balloon cluster of 3 14-inch hearts and 1 12-inch round. So a duplicate of hearts and a duplicate of 1 heart and a round. Twist those together like that. And then this is going between the balloons here. So I want the Mr balloon to be off to the left on this occasion, just randomly decided that, and the gold to the right, and the hearts will be at the front. So we'll push the round one through to the back and then pull your hearts to the front there, and then I'm just going to wrap one of the hearts around the round balloon just to lock it in place. Right, so make sure that it is back at the back of the design and the 3 hearts are at the front, like so. One other thing that I have done just to make sure that we've got enough lift is that whenever I've tied the balloons together into clusters, I've then cut off the neck and the neck roll just to save a little bit of weight. It's not a great deal, but it does make a difference. Then I have a pair of clusters, if you like, attached together with a 260. So we've got a double stuffed Graffiti Frost with a little cluster of 5-inch on one end of it, and a single smaller double stuffed Graffiti Frost on the other end. And this one is going in the middle of the hearts, and then the other one will be positioned somewhere else. This is quite a random design, you know, you can adjust it and play with it a lot. So you may find that when you put it all together, you want to move things around, and that's why they're on the 260s, because that gives you the ability to think, oh, perhaps I don't really want that there, I'll put it here instead, or whatever. So you can shuffle them around and get them into different positions. So we'll leave those there, that's fine. Then I need to add another pair. So on this one I have, again, 2 clusters, each with a double stuffed Graffiti Frost and 5-inch standard white and Reflex gold. This one's got a 12-inch white in there as well, just to give it a little bit of extra bulk. And let's decide where we want it to be. And I think actually we'll move this one up slightly to there, and then we'll put the other 2 here. So take the 2 clusters, separate them out, pull them through, one there, one there, and then just get them into the position that you want. So we'll put that one there like that. We'll have this one here, and we'll move that one underneath to there, so that we've now got the Graffiti Frost balloons in a nice grouping on this side. And then to finish it off and give it a little bit of extra energy and detail, the last pair that we have is clusters, little clusters of 5-inch, from which we have on both ends 2 curly 260s, and we're going to use those to give it that little bit of pizzazz. So we'll put one kind of here, see how it's flying, and then another one down below. So let's sit this one there, and pull this one all the way through, and sit it here. And now we can just adjust the position of the balloons so that we're happy with them. So I think I would like the spirally clusters to be here and here, and we'll have that Graffiti Frost just peeking out there. Okay, all good. So the beauty of this is that it is quite freeform, and you don't have to worry too much about exactly where every balloon sits, as long as you've got the sort of look that you want. We'll just rotate this one a little so that the text is to the front, rotate the hearts, and there we go. And so you can see that it flies perfectly well. The lift in the 2 big balloons is more than enough to support the weight of everything else. There's plenty of bounce there. And now we need to anchor it down and attach a weight. We want to do something a little bit more special than just a weight with a cluster on. And so I suggest this idea, which is using the acrylic boxes, or the cardboard boxes with the acrylic windows. These are sold as either love in sets of 4, and they come either with love or baby. But the beauty of them is that the letters are separate, so they're not actually stuck on there from the beginning. So that means you can use them plain. We could take the text from the balloon, Mr in gold, and personalise the front of that. There's lots of options with these. And all I've done basically is to put one of the 14-inch hearts and some tulle inside the box, wrap it around with some tulle, nice big bow on the top, cluster of balloons, and something on which to fly our big cluster at the top there. It won't be heavy enough probably to hold this down, and certainly if you do something else using the box at the bottom, you might need extra weight. Simplest way of achieving that is to use a ceramic tile and just sit it in the bottom of the box before you put in anything else, and that will give you the weight without it being obvious or ugly. So I'll just put this back on the floor for the moment, and then I can take the cluster. I'll have to remove it from the weight now. So the one thing you don't want to do at this point is to let go. And then I'm literally going to take the tool, which is pre-attached to the top of the box, work out how high we want it to be, and pull it through from one side all the way across, down into the center, like that. And then if you've got any ribbon left over from your anchor point before, you can either curl it and leave it in there, or just very carefully cut it out, and that will give you the weight that you need. The height adjustment is easy because you can just slide it up and down the tool, and it will fly for a long time because of the high float. So there's a helium filled version. It's equally easy to do it with an air fill, and you do that using a knot stand which sits in the box. Cut a hole in the top of the box and push it through. And here we have the two examples of the same design, the helium filled one on this side, the air filled one here. They're similar enough to work as a pair, but different enough for each one to be unique. Just to explain how this is done, the box is exactly the same, but the lamp base is inside the box, covered with, in this case, a piece of white fabric and the tool. We can't fit the heart into it because the pole comes up through the middle, so we've put individual balloons instead. Cut a hole in the lid through which the pole goes. The pole's wrapped in Reflex Gold 260 to bring in the right colour.